It always begins the same way. A sound breaks the silence. Sharp, familiar, unavoidable. An alarm. You reach for it without thinking. Not because you're ready, but because you've done this so many times before. Your body already knows what to do. And just like that, another day begins. The room is quiet, but your mind isn't. Before your feet even touch the ground, you already know what the day will look like. Outside, the world is already moving. Cars line the streets, engines humming. People walk with purpose, eyes forward. Everyone seems to be going somewhere important. Fast. Focused. Certain. Or at least, that's how it looks. Screens light up tired faces. Coffee replaces rest, and conversations begin before anyone is truly present. Everything feels structured, organized, predictable. And yet, beneath all of it, there's something else. A quiet feeling, subtle, but persistent. Not loud enough to disrupt your life, but strong enough to stay with you. Because while everything around you is moving forward, something inside you feels like it hasn't moved at all. And that's when the thought finally surfaces. Is this really my life, or just the one I learned to live? When I think about how I got here, I don't remember making a clear decision to live this life. I remember being guided into it. It started early. Classrooms filled with structure, rules that were never questioned, paths that were already defined before we even understood them. We were taught what to aim for. Good grades. A clear direction. A stable future. It sounded right. Because success was always presented as something certain, something predictable. Something you could achieve if you followed the steps. At home, the message continued. Be responsible. Make smart choices. Don't take risks. And it came from a good place. From love. From experience. From the desire to protect us. From uncertainty. From failure. From struggle. So I listened. I followed every step, every milestone. School became graduation. Graduation became work. And slowly, without even realizing it, I stepped into a life that made sense to everyone else. But somewhere along the way, I stopped asking if it made sense to me. As life moved forward, the guidance I once trusted began to feel heavier. It became pressure. Bills started to appear, small at first, then constant. Responsibilities grew quietly until they became impossible to ignore. And suddenly, life wasn't about choosing anymore. It became about maintaining, surviving, keeping everything together. At the same time, the world around me became louder than ever. Social media. Endless updates. People sharing their best moments. Promotions. Vacations. Achievements. A constant stream of progress. And even though I knew that it wasn't the full story, it still affected me. It made me question everything. Am I doing enough? Am I moving fast enough? Am I falling behind? Without even realizing it, I started measuring my life against expectations I didn't create. And slowly, I lost sight of what I actually wanted. My days became predictable. Not in a comforting way, but in a way that felt automatic. Every morning followed the same pattern. Wake up, rush through the routine, sit behind a screen for hours. Conversations started to repeat themselves. How are you? I'm good. Even when that wasn't true. Time passed, but it didn't feel meaningful. Even in crowded spaces, I felt distant, disconnected, like I was watching my own life instead of living it. Nothing was wrong, but nothing felt right enough either. And that's the hardest feeling to explain. When your life looks complete, but doesn't feel alive. I told myself to be grateful. And maybe I should have been. I had stability. I had progress. But something was missing. At night, when everything slowed down, when the noise faded, the thoughts came back. Stronger. Clearer. I would sit in silence, looking at my own reflection, and ask questions I didn't have answers to. Is this enough? Is this who I wanted to become? It wasn't frustration. It wasn't anger. It was something deeper. A quiet awareness that I was living a life that didn't fully belong to me. It didn't happen all at once. There was no dramatic moment, no sudden collapse. Just a gradual buildup. Of repetition. Of exhaustion. Of quiet dissatisfaction. Days felt heavier, nights felt longer. Until one day, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I realized I had been moving forward, without ever questioning the direction. Chasing goals that I never truly chose. And for the first time, I stopped. Not because I had the answers, but because I finally understood the question. So I stepped back. Not from life, but from the noise. And in that silence, I asked myself something simple. What do I actually want? Not what sounds impressive, not what looks successful, but what feels real. The answer didn't come immediately. But something shifted. For the first time, I wasn't just reacting to life. I was aware of it. And that awareness was the beginning of something new. That's when I saw it clearly. Two paths. One safe, structured, predictable. A life that made sense. And another, uncertain, uncomfortable, but honest. One offers approval, the other offers meaning. And for the first time, I realized that staying where I was also a choice. But life doesn't pause just because you start questioning it. There are still bills, still responsibilities, still people who depend on you. Fear is real. And this isn't about escaping life. It's about learning how to live it without losing yourself. So I started small. Not a dramatic change. Just small, intentional steps. Learning, exploring, trying. And slowly, something shifted. For the first time, I felt like I was moving toward something, instead of just going through life. You don't need to destroy your life to build a better one. You just need to question it. Define success for yourself. Take small steps. Because real change happens quietly, through the choices you make every day. My life didn't suddenly become perfect. But now, there's clarity. There's intention. And most importantly, there's choice. Because in the end, the life you are told to live will always exist. But the life you actually want only begins when you decide to make it yours. Not every change begins with a bold decision. Sometimes, it begins in silence. Late at night, when the world slows down, and there's nothing left to distract you, you start to think differently. Not about what you're expected to do, but about what you've been avoiding. And in that quiet moment, you realize something important. You don't need permission to start becoming who you want to be. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to begin. For so long, I thought success meant pushing harder, doing more, never slowing down. But somewhere along the way, I forgot what it felt like to breathe, to pause, to step away, to choose stillness without guilt. And maybe, success isn't just about what you achieve. Maybe it's also about what you protect. Your time, your energy, your peace. Because a life that looks successful, but feels overwhelming, is still a life worth questioning. I used to think it had to be one or the other. Stability, or passion. Responsibility, or freedom. But the truth is, life doesn't work in extremes. You don't have to abandon one life to start building another. You can grow quietly, in the spaces no one sees. After work, before sleep, in small, consistent moments. And over time, those moments become something bigger. Not overnight, but gradually, your life begins to shift in a direction that feels more like you. Clarity doesn't come from doing more. It comes from slowing down and asking better questions. What matters to me? What kind of life do I actually want to live? Not the version that looks impressive, but the one that feels right. And when you begin to write it down, when you see it in front of you, something changes. It stops being a vague feeling and starts becoming a direction. Because the moment you define your path, you stop drifting and start choosing. There's no perfect moment to start. No point where everything suddenly makes sense. Just a decision to move forward anyway. Even with uncertainty. Even with doubt. Because clarity doesn't come before action, it comes through it. Step by step, you begin to understand yourself, your direction, your purpose. And one day, you look back and realize you didn't just find your path, you built it.